Hello and welcome to This Car Pod.
Kennan.
I'm Filippo.
And it's time for the news, starting with
A blurry picture.
a blurry picture of an Audi. This is a news story we're doing. The Audi A6 Avant has leaked ahead of its debut, but folks, the sedan model is already out. The leak is like, we knew what is this a news story?
Again, two reasons why it's a news story.
Okay, I'm very curious.
One is that nobody knows what Audi models have been revealed and not, let's be honest.
Okay.
First of all, it's a fact. The Q6 is for sale. Nobody knows.
Okay.
The A6 Avant might come to the US. There's a real chance of that because it is here now.
Yeah, I think there is a good
might.
chance of it considering they currently sell it.
And the RS6 Avant will obviously be based on the A6 Avant.
Okay, so what we have is a blurry photo of an all-black one that looks a lot like the current one and a lot like the wagon version of the sedan as we expected it. I bet Audi's like, can't believe this thing leaked. I mean, that's how Germans would feel about this. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here like, yeah, this is...
We will track down the perpetrator, make sure that they are punished
And
accordingly.
they will. They actually will. But the truth is, this gives us no new information at all.
You know what it looks like? It looks like a picture of the current one that someone actually leaked water onto and then like shows it.
right.
No, it looks
terrible.
different.
It's slightly
doesn't look
different, but it looks
different.
exactly like we'd expect the new one to look.
When the i5 came out, you said that you'd buy one. Maybe.
A Touring. If they came to the U.S. with an i5 Touring, I would buy it.
If they come to this with an EV A6 Avant, would you buy it?
Listen, I love a lot of Audis, and I like things Audi, and I like Audis, and I recently had an Audi. I do not like the A6 as much as I like the E-Class and the 5 Series. I'm sorry. It's not as good of a car. The materials inside are not as good. The driver assist is not as good. The tech is not as good, and it's a harsh rider. It's a harsher ride.
We'll find out how it is when it's revealed on Monday or whenever it's getting revealed.
All right, next news story. Come on.
again.
Give us a...
Oh, yeah. So just when you thought that the M4 couldn't get uglier, so I like the way the M4 looks personally, but BMW has announced that they're going to make a VR46 version. This is the limited edition version they're going to do of the M4 CS. Now, VR46 stands for Valentino Rossi, the famed motorcycle racer.
Yeah, I
now, of
actually
course,
do know.
Doug know who this was, correct?
Oh, well known.
Yes. Can you
Here in the community.
Can you give us one detail on Valentino
He's one of the
Rossi?
most famous MotoGP. You know, he's the most famous MotoGP.
Can you define MotoGP?
All right, here's MotoGP. I'm going to explain it for those who don't know.
Please.
It's motorcycle racing at a track. And what happens is they race like 9 laps, and then they can't do pit stops, so that's the end of the race. I'm not wrong.
I was really hoping
I'm
you
not
would,
wrong. This is true.
I was really hoping you would like lean dramatically in your chair.
Oh,
to
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
demonstrate.
dude, yeah, knee down.
Valentino gets that knee right on the ground. That's how he wins so many races. And it's why he has a BMW that looks like a Mustang.
115 Grand Prix he won, by the way. But anyway, his
9
number...
laps. So he's done 900 laps in his career. It's amazing.
His number was 46, and he's turning 46 this year.
Oh.
He also races for BMW now in the M4 GT3. And so they decided they would make a limited edition version of this car
Wait
for
a sec.
him.
Do motorcycle racing skills translate to car racing?
Sure.
You know, he did a video with Lewis Hamilton where they swapped back. Like, they both swapped. Like, he got to drive the Formula 1 car, Lewis got to drive the bike.
And?
Lewis drive the bike. It does translate. He was pretty good in a Formula 1 car. And
What
so,
about Lewis?
Lewis was surprisingly good on a bike. I cannot believe their insurance company allowed that to happen. He was actively racing for Mercedes. Lewis was racing for Mercedes. It's like,
wow.
But they were so far ahead in the points anyway, it didn't matter. He could have just taken a nap for the rest of the season. But yes, it does translate.
This is a special edition version.
Yes, so they're going to only build, you guessed it, 46 of
46,
these.
yeah.
And it has some truly horrific graphics.
It's wild.
The
How is
wheels
this
have
allowed?
these like lime green V's on it, I'm guessing for
But only
Valentino.
one spoke.
Right.
But only one spoke.
Well, yeah, because you need it to be a V. Otherwise, it's a lot of V's.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Are the
Giant 46 on the side like a NASCAR. Like
Yep.
this is a character in the car.
The
that
roof
font?
is signed in lime green. It's
But
not
tell us the
good.
best part. Tell us about what the winner gets.
Yes. Well, real quick, to be clear, there are some like actual upgrades they've made to this thing. So they've done some chassis tuning with it. It's got special camber and like different springs and roll bars and stuff. So they actually did like real stuff with this.
But
But
it's some chassis tuning, not for the regular M4, but
the big
just this one.
Just this one. Only 46 of them too. I'm sure that'll also be easy parts to get later on in this car's life. But the big thing is that if you buy this car, one of the things they let you do is you get to go to a barbecue at Valentino Rossi's house.
Okay, I have a couple questions about this. First
Sure.
off, question number 1. Where does this man live? I assume Italy.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Can I
Second,
look up Valentino Rossi address? See what comes up?
Is it all expenses paid or what's going on there?
I believe that's the idea. So it's a
Okay.
it's a 2-day thing because you then get to do BMW M driving experience at the Musano like racing.
Okay,
circuit.
can I ask the obvious question?
Uh-huh.
Is Valentino cooking? And if so, what? And if so, can I request sausage? What does this cost?
You're gonna buy one of these?
Well, if I get to meet one of my all-time icons, Valentino Rossi, Rossi.
Checking the spelling. Supposedly, BMW didn't release an exact number, but I have the things I read was it could be about 155 grand.
How much is a normal?
155,000 United States for this?
For this,
Will it be sold in the U.S.?
I believe so.
Are any getting allocated here? Because there's only 46.
Right.
And honestly, MotoGP not the most popular racing here.
Well,
No.
the races are so short. You show up late. You
Well,
miss
also, it's popular with motorcycle fans generally. This is not a motorcycle, you might have observed. And so,
in fact, it's a $155,000 car that looks like that.
and also, I wonder if people who know him for his racing career, like motorcycle racing career, realize that he drives cars now.
None of them do.
I don't think you knew that.
I think they probably realize that
Barely
he
knew.
drives cars.
Yeah,
Right, so like
most
to
people
get
do. When
registers,
it's the association I make with him is that the motorcycle thing. That's what I think of. And so it is kind of an unusual pairing. They like I said, they're going to make 46. We'll see if they can sell 46. But nonetheless, one of the more bizarre BMW limited editions.
43 will be to employees of BMW that are begged to purchase them. But yeah,
Okay, give us the next news story, please. Ooh, some sort of ugly Kia.
not ugly.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, not
That
very
is a render of a Kia EV4. I think that they've shown design, but it's not been seen in person.
The wheels are triangular.
Although I wanted you all to know
lot of
that
Kia wheels now.
Kia or Hyundai are doing an EV day that sadly is right after this podcast. So we'll sadly miss some additional news. But here's why this is interesting.
Yeah.
You're familiar with the Ioniq 5N that has these like fake noises as you drive.
That's pretty close.
It didn't seem fake to me. It seemed as real as the day is long.
Right. This will also have that technology.
That's
Sort of.
interesting because couple things. Was it only going to be in a performance model?
So all of them will have it. This is from like some leaked news from Kia. All of them will have it. Only the performance trim will have the fake rev limiter. The rest will have the noises, but not
Interesting. So
like
all
the rev.
EV4s are going to have the engine noises.
Apparently.
Wow.
I think what they actually said was that it will be available.
Available in the sense that the way it worked in the Ioniq 5N was it wasn't standard. You had to go into some sort of menu to turn it on, which is probably the case here.
Yeah.
But that's interesting because I still feel that that's one of the best EV features I have ever been a part of. And if they bring that into regular cars, I mean, this is definitely going into other cars.
What's interesting is that the way that they've pitched it and some of the news around it is less about the enthusiasty part, because frankly, a basic EV4 is not an enthusiast vehicle. It's to help the transition for people that are used to cars. Gas cars.
That's fine too. I got to tell you, I thought it was really great, and I thought it really improved engagement and made it more fun, but also did add some familiarity. Yeah. I'm into it. As long as it doesn't end up looking like this.
I think this looks great.
The wheel, I agree with the car looks great. Door handles would be nice because it'd be nice to get in, but the wheels are triangles, and in my world, wheels are circular.
Well, I think the tire's still circular.
Oh, then how does it mount the wheel to the tire if the tire's triangular and the wheel's circular or vice versa?
Magic.
That's what Kia is really doing now. That's what they misdirection. It's like Trump. They say one thing and they're doing something else. You know what I'm saying? Oh.
Right.
Okay, get the next news story.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
All right. We're continuing with the South Koreans with Genesis. This is the Genesis GV90.
Okay.
Or a version that was shown at some auto show. Ignore the driver's seat. What's notable about the GV90, which will be their largest SUV, is that they have said that one of the trim levels of it will have suicide doors. Okay. So doors like this where the back opens.
To be clear for those who can't see, Filippo was saying ignore the driver's seat. That's because it's facing the wrong direction.
So ignore the fact that the driver's seat is facing back.
We'll
ignore that.
For what it's
problem.
worth,
Got it.
This is probably a South Korean model, so the driver's seat might be facing forward. This could be the passenger seat.
In Korea, what side of the road do you think they drive on?
I clearly am wrong about it. I assume they're on the left.
I don't remember.
I assume they drove on the left side of the road.
Oh, I went to Thailand too. It's hard to.
Filippo, if the driver's seat were on the other side, there would be a seat here, and there isn't.
No, Korean cars drive on the normal side.
Yeah, all right.
On the correct side of the road.
Would it not be nice if you could swivel your driver's seat around?
I am curious about, actually, the thing that I'm most curious about this, will it have the mobster Italian restaurant booth style trim, leather? You agree with me, right? Like the leather trim, what is that?
That's like the last scene of The Sopranos.
Almost certainly, yes.
Tony gets into a GV90 and then the screen goes black.
Almost certainly. But the suicide doors, the rear doors that are hinged in the back, only the Cullinan does that.
No, the Lincoln Continental coach door.
Of the SUVs, only the Cullinan does that. Here's another one.
The Ferrari Pirosongwe has.
Pirosongi Song
suicide
Songs.
Does it?
Yes.
We consider that a hot hatchback.
Soggy Puros does it. Now this is doing it too. Copycat.
Theoretically.
Copycat. Now, these wheels have also been stolen from the GLS Maybach.
No. They've been stolen and then rotated.
And then rotated a little.
Yeah.
To be honest, in all reality, I'm excited for the GV90 because it must be legit. Like, I bet it's going to be cool.
I wonder if
this is a GLS rival, probably, right?
I bet they're doing that and also this will probably be the Maybach.
I don't really care about a coach door example. It doesn't matter to me, but I am excited for this car as Genesis rounds out its SUV lineup, partially because the other three Genesis SUVs are all fantastic. Yeah. Except for the one that isn't fantastic. Which one is it? Which one am I talking about? Come on.
Kennan, can you name any of the current Genesis SUVs?
Come on, which one?
GV70.
Yep. Oh, that's right, your uncle has it.
Which one do I not like?
Yes.
Which one?
I assume you don't like the GV60.
No, the GV80 Coupe. Do you know that exists?
Yeah, fair.
That's real.
Fair.
Also, the other thing I'm excited for is to figure out what this is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I assume that's fans.
I assume it's climate
VIP
NACA
situation.
Duct.
Okay. That's just a duct.
Give us, just not NACA.
Yeah.
Okay, Filippo, take us through this one.
All right,
Here's a man conspicuously wearing a watch.
A gentleman named Peter Rowlandson.
Yeah.
I believe it's a Daytona.
He is the founder of Lucid.
Yeah.
Till yesterday, he was also the CEO of Lucid.
Yeah.
He has stepped down. Effective yesterday. He will still retain some highly paid consultant position. By highly paid, I mean about 120 grand a month to be a consultant for them. But he has stepped down. Now, Lucid has not produced or sold the number of cars that they planned to.
Right.
And initially, in my mind, I saw this news and I thought, okay, the board is forcing the CEO out because they've been doing well. Lucid stock is down 13% today, 14% today.
Well, he was a
founder.
A founder leaving is always a tough thing for them.
Which does make me wonder if the market reaction is a little bit not what the board expected, or if this was actually his choice. He's been around there for a while. He made the Model S. He's been focused on midsize or large electric sedans for a long time.
What do we think about Lucid's future here? Is this a thing that's going to happen?
I mean, don't you feel like it's been in question for a pretty long time now?
I feel like that. I feel like it's still in question. Faraday Future.
I really want it to be.
Nikola, Fisker.
So what they did say in their press release, and I want to read this verbatim because I find it amusing. What he said was, now that we have successfully launched the Lucid Gravity, I've decided it is finally the right time for me to step aside from my role at Lucid. Doug.
Yeah.
Were you aware that they launched the Lucid Gravity?
No, they haven't yet, but apparently they're gonna say they did.
Their current COO, by the way, will step in as an interim CEO, and then they're going to launch a search. Whatever.
The Lucid situation is interesting. I'm very curious to see what happens. The cars are excellent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I got a neighbor who's got one that's getting bought back after a lot of problems. So there's that. But now they got Gravity, and maybe that'll do okay. Last week we established on the pod that it looks like a minivan.
It does.
The brand is teetering. Do you agree?
Talked about the fact that they want to be more of a supplier than
a car company, which
it's a tough position for him to be in because it's not.
Can I ask a question that I'm just very curious about and I don't quite understand? Why is it that hard to make electric cars? Yes is obviously the answer, but like, it's a battery.
I think.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, half of the stuff that you have to develop when you're like Mitsubishi built the Eclipse and sold them.
I think
these guys don't even have to come up with the engine.
Right, exactly.
Well, they did.
The whole point of electric cars is they're much more simple to build.
And yet all these EV companies fail.
But that's because Lucid's approach was we want to be the leaders in motor technology and battery technology, and they developed everything in-house.
But so they are capitalized by the Saudis. They have
and
infinite.
That's why they're still existing. Let's be honest.
Despite just losing money.
They want to double the number of cars. Their 2025 forecast doubles their number of 2024 cars.
Well, with the Gravity, that might be possible, although it seems rather expensive.
Yeah. Also, I did get an ad today for a Lucid Air $599 a month lease.
Wow. I wonder if there's regret over at the Lucid company of leading with a luxury sedan, of leading with cars at a $100,000 price point. Yep. The market wants $60,000 SUVs. The market wants the Rivian R2. The market wants the Tesla Model Y. Yeah. The Gravity's going to be too expensive.
They're working on a mid-size SUV.
$599 a month is actually right there. Yeah. That's priced right.
Their next project that is already underway is a mid-size SUV.
Probably should have been their first project. But hey, I'm not running the car companies. Nobody ever calls me, even though I'm always right. Are you ready for your next cool car? Sell your enthusiast car on Cars and Bids. Trading in your car to dealers means you aren't getting the market value for your car, leaving you with less cash for your next fun car. Just look at our recent sales of these cool cars compared to trade-in values. This was a trade-in offer, and this was the Cars and Bids result. This is a trade-in offer, and this is the Cars and Bids result. This was a trade-in offer, and this was the Cars and Bids result. Get started now and sell your car on carsandbids.com and join the best community to sell your enthusiast car. Give us the next news story, please. Oh,
yes, this is one that's exciting. So Mercedes has announced
7-year-old Mercedes.
like we've been talking about for weeks and weeks and weeks now,
Magna,
Mercedes has announced that they are going to keep 2 internal combustion engines around that are important to us. One is the V8.
4-cylinder and the C63 engine.
Turbo 6-cylinder in my...
Right. Nope. So they are going to keep some of the other, but they're going to keep the V8 and they're going to keep the V12. That's the 6-liter bi-turbo V12.
Whoa. And
they're going to keep making engines for Pagani, but they've said that they're going to keep the V12 in select markets.
What's that in?
It's in all the Paganis. What?
No.
S680 Maybach.
Yeah, a 680 Maybach.
That's it.
It might be it right now. Is there an SL65 still?
No.
There's no more G65.
No.
GLS 680.
All right, so they're making a V12 solely for the S680.
Well, but they'll come out with some other
Maybe
stuff.
they'll put in the C-Class too.
Listen, that motor, it's actually pretty impressive because that motor's been around for 20 years. Came out in 06, 05 for the SLCL and S65.
Mm-hmm. One of the great engines.
One of the great engines.
And one of the other things is that that means that they are the only manufacturer, the only German manufacturer who still has a V12 in the lab because BMW got rid of it. Audi doesn't make a W12 anymore, so they're it.
And Bentley is out, right? So that whole Volkswagen group is lost 12-cylinder engines, right?
It's just the S580. So if you want a V12, Filippo?
S680.
Whatever.
The S580 is a V8,
yes.
probably.
But isn't that amazing?
Well, I mean, it's another example of what we've been talking about day in and day out on this podcast of another automaker that's maybe a little bit cagey about committing fully to EVs.
Yes.
So there you go.
They are working. They said also for the V8 they're working on hybridization. So I imagine that means the C63.
Well, that makes sense.
Guessing.
That's a good point. This C63 was so poorly received,
and they list by you, by everybody.
It's going to be a V8 C63.
Yeah, well,
sorry, at least a V6, maybe V8.
You know what they ought to do?
Sounds like it's going to be a V8.
You know what they ought to do? V12 that C63. Throw that 6-liter in the C63. This is like when Lucid should have listened to me. Now Mercedes-Benz should listen.
We have a C43 in the office I'm looking at. They just
use the language that he would understand and tell Dieter to put his V12 in a...
Put the V12 engine back in the car. Put it in the smallest car. Big engine, small car. It's just a fantastic thing to drive.
It is a fantastic thing to drive. Actually,
Make it exciting.
Distribution.
You know what's funny, actually? I've driven a lot of cars with that engine. I'm not in love with that engine. I hate to say it.
But it's such a cool
The engine works great in the Maybach. Wyra, it is not for the Wyra.
No, the Zonda was always more excited because it had that naturally aspirated punch, thump. It's like you don't want to wait for the wind, which it's ironically named after. Like that's not the.
The engine is not intended for a supercar. It's intended for high-speed Autobahn cruising. It works great in an S680. It works great in an S65 and an SL65. In a Wyra, which is supposed to be a high-performance sports car, it's an engine where you put your foot down and go high speeds, not necessarily you accelerate very quickly.
It's not
for
athletic.
Sustained. It's not athletic. It's heavy, and it feels heavy.
It's substantial.
I love the powertrain, but it works. I drove it in the SL65 Black Series also, and it's not the best motor in that car either.
It makes sense because that car is so hardcore in every other regard, and then the engine is, and the transmission is not the fastest shifting.
It's not the fastest, right? That's exactly right.
GT focus, turbine, it's like a jet engine. It's a jet engine in a commercial aircraft. It just builds and builds and builds. Yep. And in a sports car, what you want is a fighter jet, and it's just
that's exactly right.
Can I connect two stories?
Oh.
One we just talked about
the Valentino
Lucid.
Rossi. They're going to put the V12 in his motorbike.
Dang,
one of Lucid's announcements a year or two ago was that they were going to provide Aston Martin with electric motors. Yeah, Aston Martin has since said they're not going to, but now Aston Martin could buy some V12s.
Well, yeah, and Aston Martin's already. This engine is already
Think about that.
in Aston Martin vehicles.
I thought there was no more V12 Aston. No,
well, they make the V8. The V8 isn't the V8 Vantage. It's this V8.
So maybe they'll put a V12.
It's good news for Aston Martin. That's great. But nonetheless, I'm thrilled to see V8s and V12s sticking around.
Another automaker says no to EVs. Okay, give us our next. Not no to EVs. I'm sure Mercedes will make. Oh my God!
Here's something. Here's something awful.
What the hell is this?
Can you Okay, so both of you know what this is based
But
on.
please,
So for those
if you're watching, go comment right now with what you think this is based on.
This is the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life.
well, I agree. So
Hot Wheels.
So out of Japan,
I've seen those headlights on a bus.
Out of Japan, there's this company that has decided to build a supercar based on an Italian supercar that we know and love, and that is the Lamborghini Diablo. This company is called, I'm not kidding, it's Value Progress.
Value Progress.
And they're making a car called the Beast. That's what they've named this thing. They're based in Fukushima. This is the second worst disaster to come from that city. And it is absolutely horrific. It really is. It looks like somebody took a Diablo and put it through a shredder and like collided it with like a Cadillac of some kind. And then it is one of the ugliest things I've ever seen. Now, they said that they want to, quote, surprise people with modifying the supercar. And boy, howdy, did they do that.
Surprise and scary.
Now, it still uses a 5.7 liter V12 made into a 5-speed transmission.
That's what Diablo is.
Exactly. They haven't told us which 5.7. They haven't told us which version of the Diablo this is based
Whichever
upon.
one they could get.
Right, which you got to imagine was a
But this
base rear-wheel drive.
I know they claim there's going to be more, but this is a one-off. First off, no one else is going to buy one, but also they're not making all this bodywork twice.
No, they've actually said it.
No one's going to be able to replicate this.
Honestly, if they could replicate that twice, that would be very impressive.
Value Progress, dude. It'd be Value Progress.
For what it's worth, they did say it was a one-off, thankfully.
They said it was a one-off? Oh, what a shame.
Yeah.
What a
It doesn't
complete
share a
shame.
single body panel with the Diablo.
No, it doesn't.
Oh.
No, it doesn't.
But this came across my feed, and I truly think of all the vaporware vehicles, this is the ugliest.
Can do me a favor? Pull up a photo of the rear.
Oh, yes, the rear of this thing.
Oh my God, that's the rear? I'm looking at it right here. That is insane.
Progress beast.
Things I never thought I would type in. Yeah,
Type
the
in
rear.
This is no, pull up this. This is one of the craziest things I have ever seen in my life.
It looks like a jet engine rear-ended you remember in cars, like when the truck is driving along, they have all those modified cars like pull up and the one has the speakers on and like starts to play soft music to slow it down. That's what this thing looks like.
You know what this is? This is the first car that has made the Lamborghini Veneno not look ugly. If this was next to a Veneno, people would be like, the Veneno has restraint.
Can I ask you?
Wow,
Taste.
what a tasteful vehicle.
I mean, yeah, Mansari must be envious about it.
Mansari's looking at this going, oh, they
got new
the
ideas.
Value Progress outdid us again.
Damn, back to the drawing
bastards.
board.
But
Yeah.
why start with the Diablo?
Yeah, because they had one.
Because they have that. That's
Diablo.
exactly why.
All right, let's move on to the Talk Cars segment. Talk Cars. We're going to talk about cars. And in this segment, we talk about cars. And by the way, this segment is brought to you by Kennan. Kennan,
Ooh.
he does impressions. First thing I want to talk about is the Cleetus McFarland Ultimate Race. Do you guys know Cleetus McFarland?
I know
He has a racetrack.
He's a YouTuber. He has a racetrack. He's in North Carolina. I don't watch a lot of Cleetus videos.
I assumed he was in
I
Florida.
kind of feel like when it comes to YouTubers in the South, you have to choose between Cleetus and Whistling. And I'm a Whistling man.
Whistling lives in Indiana.
Yeah.
He lives in Tennessee. Okay. Don't come and talk to me about my Whistling. All right.
Forget about Obsessed Garage, but we'll move on.
Anyway. Or Ed, honestly.
Or
Tavares. I got a
Freddie.
text from Tavares, by the way, the other day. I want to shout out Tavares. Got a text from Tavares. He said, hey, man, how you doing? I'm like, what is this?
Did you reply?
Yeah, I was like, I'm good, Freddie. What's up?
No response.
No, he did eventually respond.
That's good.
He was like, just making content. I'm like, are we doing something with this?
I just wanted to check in.
I guess he did. Anyway, Cleetus McFarland did a race with Nissan Altimas because the Nissan Altima is kind of known for being like the car that the most crazy drivers drive. Like anybody qualifies for one. They all have bad templates and body panels that are messed up. So he did a race where he had like 100 Nissan Altimas.
Whoa.
This was real. You haven't watched this video?
No.
It's
also,
wild.
some variety of Altima.
A great variety of Altimas. Some are not Altimas, I have to say. I was watching the video. There's an Elantra or two in there. There's a couple Maximas. But generally speaking, it's Altimas of all gens. There's even a couple first gens.
Somebody had a coupe.
Yeah, there's a bunch of coupes.
You're right. There are some. Okay.
There's some first gens. Cleetus himself drove an 06 Altima SER, which was the only good Altima. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
Do you think I'm wrong? No. Nope. Actually, all the V6 ones are pretty good.
And the second gen was pretty great objectively, but
yeah, the second gen. No, the 97 to 01.
No, the one after that.
Okay, the 02. Yeah, but that's what he had. He had the SER version of that. That was the best.
That one in general was great.
Anyway, the point is, Ultima Race. If you haven't watched the video, go watch it.
Who wins?
I don't know. I don't remember. Actually.
Altima, I assume.
I was so enamored with the video. There were several parts of the video I repeated several times, including at one point a fuel leak is developed in one of the vehicles, and they're worried about it. And so rather than try to stop the fuel leak, there's a race going on. They flip the car over so the fuel doesn't continue to leak, and then they just continue racing. I mean, not with that car, but with other.
That's brilliant. That's
Thank you for clarifying.
This is grade A content.
This is pretty solid. I have to. Who was driving these cars? Was it people? Just random
just showed
people?
up. I was actually kind of interested in it because some people like really race card them, like pulled out headlights and stuff, and other people like
just drove
looked like they showed up with their Altima, and all the cars got destroyed. I mean, you can imagine this is like a tiny oval, and there's like 200 Altimas on the track. Anyway, it was great content, and Whistland, you got company.
Right.
Whistland doesn't have a racetrack.
No. Cleetus does.
Cleetus does. All right.
He's in North Carolina?
Cleetus is in Florida. I'm wrong. He's in Florida. He was in North Carolina, but he bought a racetrack in Florida, right? Whistland is in Tennessee. Ed is in Georgia. Freddie's in Florida.
Yeah.
You are here.
I'm here. Right.
And who
thousands
he is.
of miles from any of these crazy folks.
And who he is.
But I like to watch the content. He's in Wichita, which is the South.
I really thought you were going to say in debt to the U.S.
Wichita
government,
is the beginning of the South. Because Oklahoma is the South, right? And Wichita is like just up here. Like if Hoovie does some bad stuff, he goes and hides in Oklahoma for a couple days. So like the heat dies down. You know what I'm saying?
There's some advice for you, Hoovie.
Hoovie. Or anybody in Wichita, honestly. Okay. Moving on to our next Talk Cars topic. I'm afraid of what Kennan's is, but go ahead.
Yes. So this past weekend, I went on a Ferrari Owners Club drive. I've been a member since I was 16.
You don't own a Ferrari.
You don't have to be a member of the Owners Club, which I always felt
called
was
the
very
Ferrari
weird.
Owners Club, but you don't have to be an owner to be in the club. But anyway.
But I was an owner who had one, and I drove mine in the club as well. Went on a drive out to the desert, which was a lot of fun. We then went to a winery, which was great. And we had about 30 cars that showed up, so 30 mostly Ferraris. I think there were like 5 or 6 cars that weren't Ferraris, including my M5. But we would stop periodically, and all 3 times I ended up behind someone different, but the cars were the same. It was a 355 and a 550. And I gotta say, it's like after all the pain I went through with mine, which we were both present for, that is a really special car, and I still want one. It just is so beautiful, and it sounds so good, and it's so cool.
Well, I'm glad for you. You
special.
can get the vast majority of that experience, which is seeing it and hearing it, without owning it.
I like all the cars
going on Ferrari
that started, all of them finished, which is an achievement in a Ferrari Owners Club drive. But it's just
you wrote on this list that you think it's the most in our doc. You wrote that you think it's the most special exotic car per dollar.
I do. I stand by that. Yeah.
The problem is it's just so heartbreaking to own.
Well,
the 360.
to buy. I didn't say to own.
The 360. Well, yeah, to buy, I agree with. Although Pantera's up there too. You ever look at a Pantera?
Pantera's good, but they mount the. Didn't they mount the? It's an odd car.
Pantera's cool for the money, but
Yeah, it is.
355, I agree. But like, it's so heartbreaking to own. The 360 is just like it's uglier. It's not as emotional. You have to buy a 360. Like a human being has to buy a 360. Like if you're looking at these cars, you look at the 355, you lust after the 355, you want the 355, you buy a 360. I know several rich people, ultra rich people, like ultra rich, who couldn't continue owning a 355 because they were too expensive to run.
I think so. What I learned from my ownership experience with mine was that mine was serviced a lot, and so I bought it. It had the big stuff done, the valve guides, the headers, the ECUs for the cats. Like it had all that stuff done. The problem was the shop that serviced it didn't do it well. I think the biggest thing with the 355 was that they had issues, admittedly, when it left the factory. They became cheap. They were sorted out by shops that did not know what they were doing. Then they became valuable, and now anyone who wants to use one, it's very difficult.
Now, to Kennan's point, the fella he sold the car to, who's in like South Dakota.
Well, I sorted it out with a competent shop that knows the platform really well, and he texted me the other day and said, "Hey, just want to let you know, done like 5,000 miles, haven't had a problem."
5,000 trouble-free miles.
I think that's what I told him.
How
out of trouble?
How sad is this?
Yeah, it was this close.
How sad is this? Kennan made the car good so someone else could enjoy it.
You and I accept the reality
Kevin
of this, right?
is his name. Yeah.
Kevin is.
You and I know
South
the
Dakota.
reality here, right?
That if he gets another one, he will make it good again and then sell it.
Well,
No. The reality is like maybe the car still has some issues, but Kevin's a little more tolerant.
I think there's no question about that. Kevin allows the car to have issues and Kennan wouldn't. Like, it probably still leaks oil. and Kennan would have fixed that.
Go while it was sitting.
That I would have liked at the end. But
I agree with you. I think Kevin is willing to drive the car and deal with. However, the point still remains.
Well, he's also in South Dakota. I don't think he has much of a choice. I don't know if Ferrari techs are out
sorted
there.
it out, and if it would happen exactly the same would happen.
In my opinion, the only way to own one of these cars is I think you want to buy one with low mileage. You want to buy one that's been sitting for a really long time. Then you want to take it to your mechanic, have someone who is good, who really knows the car, have them do the big service on it, and then you have a shot at it.
The problem is, I just can't imagine putting 40 grand, which would be a sitting for a while update, into this car.
Probably like 25, I think is probably what it would
An engine out major's like 15.
Well, no.
Then you got to do headers, then you got to do valve guides, then you got to do
just to do the belts.
ECUs, then the oil's leaking, and then Kevin from South Dakota calls and says the leather top is flapping. I don't know what.
Well, I replaced the top, but that's the tonneau cover.
40's right.
40's right.
Yeah, I think
it's a lot of money to put into just a V8 for a serial production V8 Ferrari.
Yeah, but look at that. Look at it.
Coupe, agree. It's a beautiful.
Well, mine was lovely, but it just. There's that car is.
Can you get the Barbie one while we talk about this?
Yeah, of course.
I don't really even know how to describe it. It is so special, and to see it out there is just like.
I agree. God, that is a beautiful. Go back to that last. Damn.
Yeah,
that almost makes you want the convertible. Now, you know who had the convertible is Barbie.
Yes.
When Kennan bought his car, I got him this. And it's a Barbie version of a 355, badged as the 355 GTS, even though actually it's a Spider.
And they used the correct script, but not for Ferrari. Just the F355 and GTS.
Ferrari was
correct?
Separate trademark.
No. This was an official trade. Well, yes, but this was officially licensed by
from Ferrari.
SPF.
I mean, it's very, very well done. And it's even got seatbelts so that Barbie can have a safe ride.
I think hers was a manual.
Rosso Corsa, too.
It's a 3-ped?
Yeah, hers was Rosso Corsa. Mine wasn't.
No,
but,
Rosso Corsa, red over tan, gated. This is the one you want. Previously owned by Barbie, ladies and gentlemen.
But I also think I realized I want a later
Jackson.
one, and I want one in the color I wanted. I wanted Rosso Corsa, and famously, I bought this car. The dealer I bought it from made it look like Rosso Corsa. It showed up, and it was not. It was a completely
better color.
But it was a good color, I have to say. Rosso Barchetta is lovely.
So,
but I've had enough time now, I guess, that it's not that I've forgotten. It's just like I just burn for how incredible that car is.
You can't.
But the wedge ear Ferraris are all the best, my favorites.
Can't. This car is too difficult to own. To own one of these and use it like you want to use it, you have to have a budget that is absolutely massive.
It has to be. So there are a couple other things. I think it has to be like a fourth car. Like this isn't a car you have as your second sports car, which is how I had. And I drove in the 9 months I owned the thing. I put 2,500 miles on it. 3 months it was in the shop. I drove the car a ton.
That's the problem. I think that if you actually want to enjoy the car, you can't. You have to have just a massive budget. And I'll tell you what the real issue is. As a guy who has a pretty big budget for cars, I wouldn't have the tolerance to deal with this because my whole thing with cars is I want to buy them, drive them, own them, get out of them for about even money. That you can't do that with one of these.
He made money. For the record,
Kennan made money because he presented it beautifully and did all this work, but he almost didn't make money, and it's still and he's got out by the skin of his teeth, which is great. And I wouldn't guarantee it. And the longer you own this car, the less likely you are to make money because you start doing another major and you start doing headers for the 7th time.
Or it needs
and
it
the next
again.
thing you know, you're $80,000 million into a car that's worth 46.
And you drove to San Marcos like 20 times, and that's
20 times.
It was not 20.
No, but you would
12
in like a year. Okay.
But to my other point though, my friend Ryan and Gary, who've had a 355 for 20 years now, by the way, in like a couple of days, they've had that car for 20.
A tip, no less.
Yeah, Tip Spider, like the least desirable version of the car, but it's the car I grew up around. I adore it deeply, and it is a really nice one. They have the only issues they ever had was when the alternator was nicked by somebody who was servicing the car and did it improperly. The only time.
Wait, didn't it break down when they were trying to load in at La Jolla Concours and the transmission wouldn't go into gear?
That was another bad service. The latch on the trunk was not done. I tightened a bolt by hand, fixed it.
And if you got to tighten bolts, that's I don't have to do that in my Camry.
It's all bolts. But genuinely, that car really has not given them problems in 20 years. And
how much money have they put into that car?
A ton. I think counting. I think over 20 years, it's about $100,000 is what they put into that car.
$100,000 plus a purchase price, which was
105, I think.
105. So they're $205,000 into a car. It's worth what? 60?
I think something like
60, 65. That's not a great proposition, to be totally honest.
No, but if that, but
could have had a Ford GT, and they'd have spent nothing on it.
Yeah, but Ryan's scoffing right now listening to this saying, I've never owned a Ford.
I would rather own a Ford than a tip for the tip Spider.
But
the 360.
But I will say this: the 550 in front of it. Also, I was like,
also an appealing car, and discussed as being pretty reliable. Although I've started to get a little into 550s, and the forums say the 575 is the more reliable of the two.
But then you have a problem.
You have a tip. Or you have a conversion, or you pay up for a stick. I've thought about this every way.
From every angle.
There's no good angle unless you're willing to just deal with tip. And that's not.
I've driven the tip one I drove that we sold on the site was honestly not bad. I was actually quite surprised at how well it shifted and how well it knew to do downshifts and things. Like it was actually
that car was so good.
It was more
575 looks so much better than 550. It's wild to me. I would obviously
totally
rather have a 550 but it looks so much better. The 5 spokes, the tighter corners, just little stuff.
Yeah,
I disagree. I like the 550 more, but I like the fangs and I like the fog lights, and this one doesn't have fog lights.
So much Ferrari talk.
All right, fine. Give us some Bugatti talk, Filippo.
This past weekend at the Cars and Coffee that we attend, Kennan was not there, but
I drove through it with the FFC.
A Chiron showed up.
Bugatti Chiron.
Wow.
And everybody flocked to it and stood in the street, blocking the street till I left.
It was wild.
And I mean, we see some pretty crazy stuff with great frequency. Curve GT, Countach.
I've never seen this level of attention. Like, obviously, a Countach and
F50,
a Chiron.
F40. We see those.
Right. And this got way more attention than the F50 does when it shows up.
I think because we've seen it a lot.
Yeah, but the guy who has the F50 who runs the Cars and Coffee, he shows up fairly often. And so almost everybody's like, I don't go over to the F50 anymore. I went to the Chiron. Now, it's being driven by Houston Crowstar, which is one of Kennan's idols.
Not so.
But like,
we're going to leave that one alone.
It just, obviously, it's a special car.
Yeah.
At the same time,
no, it's a special car.
It's a special car.
If I had infinite money, the first thing I would do, well, first off, I would buy you into slavery. But the second thing I would do is buy a Chiron. I would just be like, I'm Chiron, and I would daily it. And I'd come up to your house, I'd pull up and say, hey man, I'm here in my Chiron. You'd be like, but me and my wife are coming. I'd be like, deal. Sit on, one of you gotta go in the trunk. We're driving the Chiron tonight.
It's obviously a special car, very special car.
No, dude, it's the coolest
It's really
car.
cool.
I'm just surprised by the differential level of attention it got.
You don't see them.
Outside of Car Week, I can't think of the last time I saw one.
People
Actually,
don't
it was the year before.
They're incredibly expensive to drive and own and run.
Are they?
Yeah. People don't use
I thought the Chiron was better than the Veyron.
And
It is,
as much as people
but
like to talk in these circles about how that, I got a Chiron, they're afraid to drive it because they're afraid that it'll get damaged, but they're also afraid to lose value on miles. Because when these things come up with miles, they don't bring sticker anymore. They bring a lot less than sticker.
Really?
And a 10%, 20% hit on a Chiron is $600,000. And that's a lot.
The secondary market is that?
The secondary market is, with miles, because you can find them all day long with zero. All day long. If you want a Chiron with no miles today, there's 5 available.
Sticker or above?
Yeah, sticker a little above, which is pretty good actually for a car like that. Those BS Lamborghinis like the new Countach sell way under sticker because they're stupid. The Chiron is not thought of as stupid, but they're findable. And so if you actually want to use yours, you better be mega rich because you got to be okay with losing $600,000 if you put on 5,000 miles. And that's a tough.
So you don't see them at all?
You don't see them. Nobody drives them. When was the last time you saw She on the road? I don't know that I ever have. Once or twice.
Truly.
On the road, I don't know. During Car Week, yeah.
My best experience was Car Week. I was going up 17 Mile, and like if you go from Carmel, you go up and you kind of have to. There's like road turns you have to wait. I waited. It was Huayra, Chiron, Huayra. It was which that's Car Week.
Some good cars and some bad cars.
Yep. Some Chirons and some cars. But it is. Man, 5,000 miles in a Chiron would be incredible. It is an amazing car.
It would be amazing to do. The problem is the people who own those cars, a lot of them really are thinking of it as a very special occasion, very special investment. They take them on drives with other Bugattis. They take them to Car Week. That is not a car you just drive around.
No.
And so it's very uncommon that people do miles on them. You never see them at Cars and Coffee.
That makes sense.
I found it to be very special. Even to this day, when I see one, and I see a lot of stuff, and I drive a lot of stuff, when I see a Chiron, I'm like, wow, that is
serious.
Oh, wow. They run too. I'm like, holy crap.
Maybe even more so, just because of how much harder it is.
They're just very special cars.
Chiron just seems, something about the styling and the known reputation for being drivable makes it seem more pedestrian than it is.
It is a little bit pedestrian. You think of it as a Bentley in a way, but it just isn't. It's just a tremendously special hypercar.
It's still got all the attention in the world.
I'm telling you, it is the one I would get. If I had infinite money and just needed like just a in your face daily,
Oh my God, it'd be so cool.
I'd get a Chiron and I would never talk to either of you ever.
You would have bought me into slavery. Oh, you don't have to talk to me then.
Yeah, exactly. Who would I buy you from? Probably yourself. I think you would be like, you know what? You're offering enough. I will do it. I will go into slavery. Okay, so next up, it's time for the market report. The market report is brought to you by the Cars and Bids app, not Cars and Bids regular. Okay?
Brought to you by Bolt.
Don't go on their website. God, no, Kennan,
It's the
take it
same
away.
entity, to be clear.
Just use the app. Only the app. Okay, let's talk about the market. What are we seeing in the market? I had one that was really surprising to me. Go on oh no, we're on the website. Go to type in M2.
I also had this on my list.
You see, no, go to this last one. We just sold this M2 comp 54. How is this happening? The M2 comps are still bringing all the money. You know, this is a 6-year-old car. And you know what? You know what really surprised? This car sold for $54,000 with miles, not 0 miles, but not like.
But low, yeah.
They're
17.7.
low. A little couple of mods, still sold for 54. What was sticker on this? It wasn't that much higher than that.
I don't know that we have it.
No build sheet. But yeah, no, I could.
Go back now. Just type in M2 again and then sort by lowest price.
Yep.
There, you can buy regular M2s. Admittedly, most of these are autos, but you can buy regular M2s or this AutoZam for $27,000, $30,000. That's it. But the comps, the market has really decided that the comps are like really, really, really desirable cars, which, by the way, I agree with.
Especially unmodified sticks.
Although that one had mods.
But like relatively unmodified sticks.
I'm really surprised by this because what we all talked about was that the 1M was the car and it was always going to retain value, and it has, and it does. We sold one of those today too. But the market seems to think that the M2 comp is as good, and I agree. I think that one of the drawbacks of the 1M is that the M2 comp exists. It's like a better, tighter, even more impressive car. And it's interesting for me to see that there are these M2 comps that are still pulling money after all this.
The benefit of the 1M is that it has substantially lower production.
It does, but if you're a driver and you want a really good car, this is a really good car. And to be honest, it's better than the 1M to drive. It just is.
Well, sure, the 1M is more special, but it is better.
But the point is, I think the market is, one thing I'm very curious about is how the market will view the CS over the years.
I agree with
I wouldn't be surprised if the CS ends up getting valued higher than the 1M, even though it's not a 1M, and even though there was a base car. Like we just sold this one for 68.
Which is the tip one, not
Which is a
manual.
tip. I bet the CS is the market really, really, really falls in love with the CS more than the 1M, which I never thought. I always thought the 1M, because of its low production numbers, would be the dream one. I bet that this one emerges. The market seems to really like nice M2s.
The end of a generation is always something special.
But the thing about the 1M was they only made this number and it was all the 1Ms, right? There was no CS, there was no comp, there was no long production.
Yeah, but the thing about this one is it got an actual M engine and it got like all of it's a more bona fide M car than the M2.
And this particular one was a really special.
We actually sold the 1M today for almost the same as that M2 comp.
Yeah, look at that.
52.5.
52. But they certainly.
And 1M is still bringing more money for sure. There's no question about it. And the market likes it better, et cetera. But I'm surprised how well M2 comps are holding, considering that they're not that rare, that they're not like this car, which was like a really, really unusual rare car. And I think that I have a suspicion that will hold. Not for regular M2s, and that's the funny thing. There's a gap that I think will continue to
not
widen.
for tip M2s.
Not tips.
No, not tips.
Only the manual.
But the fact that you can get one of those for
10K
29 is also pretty cool.
Or
that's a cool car.
40 grand M2 comp with an automatic, which is also notable.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Man, also the current M2 is just big.
Filippo, give us a market report.
Yeah. Can you just go to like the website, Kennan? Just like pull it up.
Oh, not the app?
We have some good
We have
stuff
some
right now.
incredible cars live right now.
I know.
These will all be done by the time people are watching, but scroll down a little bit to cars ending third
STI
Friday and up. Like, they're just, every single car is a banger.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of good stuff. That gold repeat is crazy, this 992.
Like, it's just truly wild.
This is probably one of the best lineups I've ever seen, which is especially surprising to me considering that it's February. GT3 RS, nice 4C, this M6 Coupe is really cool.
RS.
Another GT3.
Whatever the
Honda
heck this
SMX
MK
lowdown.
NDR.
Yeah, MK NDR, which has a Miata motor in it. We got an SVT Cobra R, I think that one just ended. iMiev, ladies and gentlemen.
928
This, which is cool. This is an
excursion conversion,
This is an excursion conversion of a Super Duty. An NSX Type S, which is a really special car.
A really nice Huracan. Like
RS6,
also,
C5 RS6.
Also a Saab 900 SE with the Sensonic transmission, which is a manual without a clutch.
Did you know about this?
Oh, so this is like Vallejo?
It's like Vallejo. It's like Porsche Sportomatic. It's a manual without a clutch.
Wow. That must be all.
I want to drive it.
Oh, it must.
So
I
badly.
want to drive it so
is
badly.
Is it in Florida? Where is that?
Looks like it. Yep. Jacksonville, Duval Diddy.
I don't know that it was sold in the U.S. Maybe it
How bizarre. Yeah, I would love. Whoever buys this, bring it out here. The guy who's going to buy it is the guy who bought my Defender, my yellow Defender. He loves it.
But truly, every car, the cars we have this week are just
One of our best lineups of all time, which is especially impressive considering that it's February, which is usually like winter doesn't bring out the best cars, but I'm very optimistic for what spring and summer will bring us if we got nice stuff like this, R6 Avant, another M2 Comp stick, which will probably do well.
Also, I know what else is coming.
ZR1.
I know what else is coming up, and there's some good.
You see this?
Yeah.
Click on this.
Oh,
We got a
yeah.
Tommykaira. You remember these?
Yeah.
From Gran Turismo?
We talked
I didn't
about
play,
them
but I'm familiar.
in one of our
You
special
didn't play,
edition.
that's right.
I know the
episodes.
legends. Yeah.
Dude, Tommykaira, when I was playing Gran Turismo, I couldn't understand what this was. And they had a car. They mostly modded other cars like this, but they had a car. I think it was called the ZZ. Pull it up.
Okay.
I hope
you're
we've
right.
sold one. Oh, good. Copy paste. That's brilliant.
You're right.
Go to images. It was like a Renault
What?
Sport Spider thing.
Yeah, it is.
It was like a Renault Sport Spider thing.
So cool.
The ZZ.
Dang, that is in yellow. That totally looks like a sport.
Yeah.
Dang, it's cool.
Okay. Let's move on to our final market report, which is Bentley related. Pull it up, Kennan.
We recently sold a Bentley Mulsanne on the site, which
Yeah.
is one of my all-time favorite
All-time.
luxury sedans. It is so stately and just impressive. And this one sold with 31,600 miles for 79,500, which to me, it's still a lot of money, but that feels like a ton of value considering this was a really
Especially, go back to that page you were just on. It's especially good numbers when you think about when we first were, like 2 years ago, we had one bid to 112, which was a 17. Like the
Here we are.
numbers are coming down. Now, I will say, I agree with you that it's good value for the money. However, this car has not depreciated like the others. Like an Arnage is a 20 car.
Yes.
Mulsanne, the market actually is like, we're not going to let this fall.
Well, I
just
think
yet.
that's because this hasn't aged. Like the Arnage looks old, and it looked old in 2010. Like
It looked old in 2003. I remember it. I was there. I remember
but
thinking,
that was
they're selling this?
that was the appeal at the time.
That was part of the appeal.
But now, the
Pull up
secondary
interior.
market.
Aside from its steering wheel, which again is
Which
the
is
worst
one of the
steering wheel
worst
ever
steering
fitted
wheels.
to a luxury car, dude, I would drive this car all day long.
Oh man, absolutely.
Imagine the flexing on Filippo you could do with this.
Yep.
And this little buzzy 500.
Right.
Yep.
True.
Truly two completely different spectrums of the automotive world there.
I
look,
love these
picnic
cars.
tables. Yep.
These are so cool.
When I was having a bad day, maybe I shouldn't say this, but when I was having a bad day at the exotic car dealership I worked at, I would always go find a Bentley and close the door and I would work in the back of a Mulsanne. Because
Let me tell you
it's just so nice back there.
Let me tell you something. The difference between a Mulsanne and a Flying Spur, if those of you want to know at home,
60 grand.
the difference is this.
Difference between rich and wealthy.
That's so true. The difference is this. When I see a Flying Spur on the road, I'm like, oh. When I see a Mulsanne, I speed up, get the camera out, take a picture. That's
Totally.
the difference between those two cars.
My oral-
As the passenger, I should say.
My oral surgeon who did my wisdom teeth, daily driver was a
You're
Mulsanne.
kidding. What?
Yeah,
Ohio,
white
man.
Mulsanne.
Ohio.
Yeah.
Ohio's Mulsanne's worth more than his house. White Mulsanne, the color of teeth.
No, I actually I know where he lives. It was not worth more than his house.
The color of teeth. He got a white one because he wanted to remember what got him there in the first
right.
place.
Super nice,
Humble.
guy. Really into cars, but yeah.
Okay, next up, we're going to move on to the questions. Questions. Now, questions are brought to us by these microphones. You can eat them. Now,
Not audio listeners love that.
Now, you can ask us questions. You go to carsandbids.com, you click on the community tab, and then there will be a post there and it says, ask us questions. And then you can ask us questions. Now, one of the things I've noticed that's become annoying about the questions is the first person to watch the pod asks like 48 questions and then their questions get upvoted the highest. So here's what I'm going to start doing. Beginning with the next pod, I'm not going to take the highest upvoted anymore. Don't you think? You should see one dude asked like 7 of today's questions because they were the highest upvoted because he posted like at the same time. He was like, what do you think about the galaxies? And it was like, I don't have opinions about
The Ford?
it. No, like the Interstellar.
Oh, well,
Get that answer ready because it's, no, I'm kidding. The point is, we're going to start taking questions based on how good they are. So like if a question came in that was as bad as this G-Wagon behind me, we wouldn't take that question. We would only want good ones.
this is our producer's G-Wagon, by the way. He newly acquired. Very proud of it.
Can the wheels be seen on screen?
No, sadly. There you go.
Move out of the way.
Yep.
Yeah, they are atrocity.
I really enjoyed that cut away from that camera.
No, dude, we found out this is the Walmart brand 17. Okay. Questions. First question coming to us today. I don't have the doc up. My God, coming to us today from Wyatt R. This is a legitimate question. I saw that layoffs were happening at Cars and Bids. Is this a sign that the health of the business is? He wrote winning. What was he supposed to?
Waning.
Waning, I think. And if so, what is causing Cars and Bids to struggle? You know, it's interesting. This article from Autopian kind of talked. We did do some layoffs at Cars and Bids. Which is sad. It's hard. Layoffs are the worst thing in the world. Obviously for the people who are gone, but also for us, we lose people that we love, the people we've worked with for a long time. It's like a really, really, really difficult thing to do. And it happens when strategy doesn't necessarily align with reality, and those situations occur. And they're difficult, and there are difficult choices that you have to make in business. And personally, I hate it. And I remember when I worked at my YouTube channel, it was just me. We didn't do any layoffs. But nonetheless, they are sometimes a reality of the situation. And it is legitimately a hard thing to have to do as a person who runs a business. It's not something I want to do ever again. But sometimes it's a reality that we face. When you look at your financial situation and you know where your business is, it's sometimes inevitable. The question is more, though, what is the reason for it? Truthfully, I think like I said before, it was more of a mismatch of strategy and reality than the car market. The article from the Autopian kind of attributed it to the car market, sort of. The car market is not as slow as I was expecting it would be, given how frothy it was in 21, 22. The car market is doing okay. Prices are certainly down. But the market is just not, the market is not absolutely in this. This is an 08. Cars are still selling. They're still doing okay. Money is still coming in. It was just, in terms of us for layoffs, I think we had just grown a little bit too fast for the size that the business needed to be. But do you think that the market is struggling and that's a cause of it? It's not how I view it necessarily.
The market overall, I think, is still quite healthy, but it's changed. And the strategies that really worked for us 2 years ago for growth were ones that we invested in and didn't really make sense as the market has changed. So new cars in 2022, 2023 were a large chunk of our revenue and volume because you could flip a Rivian, a Tesla, whatever. And now you really can't. Right. And when we invested in something that would worked well for that, it doesn't really make sense in the current market. It's not that the market is cool overall, but it's shifted and we had to adjust.
That part of the market has shifted and cooled, and that has.
We had to adjust.
We had to adjust. Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. I think that the market has definitely, there have been some changes in the market, and so we have to adapt to it. But I agree with your point. It's not necessarily the market is bad. Like looking at this,
aggregate, it's strong.
As I look at the car market right now, I think it seems normal to me. Yeah. I think it seemed crazy before. Yeah. And I've seen really tough markets in 09. And this isn't that. I think I go to dealers and they tell me it's the worst thing they've ever seen right now, but dealers have a tendency to exaggerate that sort of thing. My sense is that the market is okay. Right. Well, it feels, and based on what I'm seeing car values at, it seems normal. Like I'm seeing cars depreciate again. I'm seeing cars sell for what I would expect they would.
Well, and it might be bad for dealers who bought inventory at that high price at the time and now are stuck. Yeah. But that's busy. Sometimes you have to cut your losses.
I also think there's a lot of dealers who, especially this is true of new car dealers, who base their baseline on their best days. Yeah. I go to new car dealers and it's just things are just they're so far off. It's like, well, they're far off of what? Well, they're off 21. Well, yeah. Also, they're off the all-time high.
They're also trying to sell a Jaguar F-Pace and
those dealers have always had it tough, even at 21. Okay. Next question, Kennan. I'm sorry, we've got a lot. You guys aren't going to be answering. I'm going to take over from here. All right. Next question from Clapped Out E88. What is the best special license plate that first comes to mind for you guys? You guys mentioned all sorts of special license plates I've never heard of. What is the one that comes to mind? Okay. I'm going to take you on a little tour today of some of the great special license plates in our world. Now,
I would love that.
There are some U.S. states that have better ones than others. And I'm going to tell you right now, straight up, your really good states. Did
you prepare notes for this?
I did. Hawaii, Arkansas. You don't have to type anything just yet, but we'll get there. Hawaii, Arkansas, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Oregon. Those are your really good states.
North Carolina?
The problem with North Carolina is a lot of the plates just use the regular design and then a picture.
Interesting.
And you can do punctuation in North Carolina, but that's not what the question was.
characters.
Okay. I'm going to tell you some of the ones. Did I mention West Virginia on this list that I just gave? West Virginia counts too. I'm going to tell you some of the ones that I want you to look up, some of the special ones. First off, one of my all-time favorite license plates, look up the New York Lunar Lander license plate, please. Let's start there. Let's just start with the New York Lunar Lander plate, and we'll go on to more beautiful ones.
If you are a human listening to this because the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. New York Lunar Lander. When these come up on eBay, they sell for $600. I want one. Okay, now let's move on to beautiful. Kennan, I'm going to blow your mind with a few of these.
Okay.
First off, look up Hawaii's special plates. Nobody knows these exist because you don't see cars from Hawaii. Here in San Diego, we see cars from Hawaii a lot. Hawaii has the coolest special plates. This is one of them.
Yeah.
It has some old boat. Some Hawaiian's going to tell me I'm insensitive, but it has some old boat. It's incredibly beautiful. There's one with some sort of fowl. And there's a volcano one. They are full picture, full color,
These are beautiful
absolutely gorgeous, which is especially nice because Hawaii's regular plate, which is very boring, it just has a rainbow and it's black and white, came out in 1991. They did that for 40 years, and then this showed up, and it's the coolest thing in the world. No, go back to these. Pull up this. Pull up the volcano one.
That's beautiful.
Look at that.
It's cool. Literally never.
When you go to Hawaii, if you're on the Big Island, you see tons of these because that's where the volcanoes are, and then go back. This one is really the most beautiful one with the boat. Okay, so Hawaii's got some good ones.
Voyaging Society.
Here's a couple more I want you to look up for all of us. Look up the Florida State Parks license plate with the kayak on it. I generally do not like Florida specialty plates because I find them to be illegible and kind of poorly designed. But
that is beautiful.
You're in the kayak. You're in the kayak. Think about that.
Gorgeous plate.
That's great. Okay, now I want you to look up the Oklahoma Support Education. We're going to take kind of a darker turn for the next couple. The Oklahoma Support Education license plate.
Okay.
Now, you think, okay, there's going to be like a picture of a schoolhouse. Well, there is, but it's a schoolhouse that's looming on the prairie with this dark. This is actually, that's like the graphic. This is like what it actually looks like. And it looks like a schoolhouse that's about to be wiped out by a tornado, an abandoned schoolhouse that's about to be wiped out by a tornado. It really does.
It actually might be on fire inside already.
It's on fire, and there's a tornado coming, and hell is breaking loose in this schoolhouse. But by God, we support education.
You're not wrong about anything you've
Now, on the dark turn, I want you to look up the Rhode Island Gaspee Days license plate. That's Gaspee. That'll pull up from this, yeah.
Okay.
This is a surprising one. You ever see a... You ever see a full-on inferno on a license plate? Well, folks, you have now. I don't know what the Gaspee Days are. Obviously didn't do any research about that. Don't really care. But there is a picture on this license plate of a ship that is completely on fire. And I'm not talking there's a small fire. This thing, people are dying in front of our very eyes while these people drive around with their license plate.
In 1772, local patriots burned the British revenue schooner, the HMS Gaspee.
Now, you could solve the fire. You could solve the fire if you had the Montana Rural Fire license plate. Pull up the Montana Rural Fire license plate. Now, this actually, we're taking a little detour because I think this is one of the worst special license plates ever made. Yeah. And it's that one there. This, if only the Gaspee Days had this license plate, which appears to just be a photograph taken outside of a fire station.
Also,
and the text from Montana with the just drop.
We wouldn't want them to put this fire out. This fire started the Revolutionary War.
This fire started the revolution. We should know about this. We wouldn't have wanted to put this one out, but if you needed to, there is a square body Chevy pickup on this license plate. How did they come up with this design? They were like, hey, Susan, do you have the digital camera?
See, I think this was supposed to be the title card for a horrible show from the 70s.
That's
Montana,
exactly what it looks
fire.
like. That is exactly what it looks like. That is so true. It would have been some crappy 70s comedy, and this was like the final thing when after the names of the characters had gone across. Now,
okay, I think you get one more.
On the subject of the dark turn we've taken, I want you to look up the Arkansas Martin Luther King license plate. This one is going to blow your mind. All license plates, as you know, have holes at the bottom and at the top.
Oh, man.
This is one of the wildest things. However, click on this. The Arkansas Martin Luther King plate, had they put the holes in the bottom, there would be a hole in Martin Luther King. And so this license plate, and only this license plate, has only 2 holes on the top. That is an interesting little tidbit for you. You do see these driving around in Little Rock. Now, speaking of Arkansas, the Arkansas State Parks license plate is probably my very favorite of all.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. On the West Virginia Turtle. We got to talk West Virginia Turtle, too. This one.
Oh, that is a pretty
Look
plate.
at that.
For what it's worth, just for people going to their state website to order it, I imagine some of these are no longer in distribution.
This had better still be available. It's got a craftsman/stone hut on it. It's got big trees. It's
Birds.
yellow writing for God knows what
That is a
reason.
gradient from day to night.
The R in Arkansas is a leaf, for God's sake. Okay, the last one, I swear.
Maybe a bird.
Last one, West Virginia turtle license plate. I'm not even going to talk about the Tennessee silly fish or the Tennessee sax cat. I'm not going to talk about them. I'm just going to talk about the West Virginia turtle license plate. Type in turtle. Yeah.
There we go.
Folks,
a good plate.
if you live in West Virginia, and I'm going to be honest with you, if you're listening to this podcast, you don't. You don't live in West Virginia. But if you do, wait, I want to see the one with numbers on it because I want to see not only how they do it, but how illegible it is. This is what you do if you live in West Virginia. You want to run from the cops, you can have this plate. No one can read it,
illegible.
and you have a turtle on your license plate.
This is on a screen, and it's a sample one, and I still don't know what the second character is.
I know that it's...
This is both illegible. This is both illegible, and you get a turtle on your
Is that
license
part of a
plate.
turtle? Is that TU?
That's
000?
TU, buddy. TU and 4 zeros.
This is good stuff right here.
This is good stuff.
This is high quality West Virginia stuff. West Virginia's got a lot of great license plates. A couple of states do. You know what? Pull up the Tennessee sax cat. He's going to get mad if I do anymore. But
I want you to know that last week, 101 people from West Virginia watched our podcast.
No way! Hey,
So,
if you're in West
thank you
Virginia,
very
go
much.
order this right now. Illegible. You can run from the cops.
said sax cat?
Tennessee sax cat license plate. The thing I like about this particular one, there is a cat playing the saxophone, and I got to tell you, folks, I've been to Tennessee a bunch of times. I have never seen a cat playing. He's wearing sunglasses too. Okay, it's dark. It's bright.
It is.
Where did they get the cat? Why is it? He's a cat playing the
I
saxophone.
love that plate so much.
Okay, next question.
Thank you for moving on. Although I appreciate that so deeply, you have no idea.
Next question from Opens Max. Question for everyone. What are each of your worst automotive hot takes? Mine is that markups are okay, which has been
No, I agree with you.
which has been hated and debated forever and ever. But I just am a
I'm
capitalist.
pro manufacturer taking that money, but yeah.
Yeah. Wow. You're anti-dealer taking that money? Wow.
He's a manufacturer guy.
I'm just people. It's so funny in 08. I got the best deal, 25 grand off. Meanwhile, the dealer wants to mark up a car $1,000. How can they screw us like this? It's like, well, this is kind of how it works.
Really like weird middlemen arbitrage opportunities. I find that odd, and so yeah.
Okay, that's not necessarily a hot take.
No, it's not.
You got a better one, Kennan? Give us a hot take.
No, it's what hot takes do we remember?
Give
from
us a
Kennan?
hot take. Well,
Although people are starting to feel more this way now, I never thought that the F80 M3 or the G80 M3 looked bad. Always thought it looked fine. I had never had any issues with it.
I remember when it came out, you liked it, yeah.
That was fun. And now people are telling me, you know, it doesn't bother me so much. It's like, yep, that's how BMW design language usually works.
It's a great car.
Comes out, it's initially reviled, and then it becomes like it ages.
Great hot take. What was your hot take? You have some.
You do have some. I can name some of yours.
Give me.
Maserati Gran Turismo is ugly.
Although, did you see the red one?
No.
I don't know if it's live right now. We got a red one coming up, and I looked at it and I'm like, maybe it's not ugly. After all this time, there is a bright red one. It's not live yet, but it's coming. It is absolutely cool looking.
I wonder if we don't really sell them in colors. Like this?
Yeah. But this is like one of these.
MC Strada, I think.
It's it's not modded, but it's like a later version with some
modded from
stuff.
the factory.
Modded from the factory, yeah. But this was like an 09 red, and it was like, wow, okay.
You feel that the Prowler looks best with the bumpers.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the Ford GT.
I don't disagree.
Ford GT, yeah, that's what a lot of people think, that the Ford GT looks best shaved. I think is the
Shaved is what we say in the community.
But we're talking about the rear bumper specifically. So a lot of people think that without that, which I actually am one of those people who think it looks best without it.
And so is the designer. He told me, but I just personally think that like the way it was presented is how it is in my mind. And you start to mess with it, and you start not like these wheels. You start messing with it. You mess with it. I want to get to two more questions.
My hot takes are always correct, so they're not.
There's one with it removed.
Yeah, it looks.
I think that looks much better.
But you don't have any hot takes?
I feel like my hot takes are usually spot on and correct, and people accept them right away.
He usually agrees with himself.
Okay. Two more, quick. Number one, rank from Oh Yes Yes. Remember last week we did the Ferraris?
You can't spring this on me again. I was flustered. I take it back. The 348 is not the worst Ferrari.
Okay, but
my least favorite.
This is different. Now rank the V12 Lambos. This is tough. This is just as hard. IMO.
It is just
Aventador last, for sure.
Yes, Countach first.
Okay, wow. Damn. I agree with that.
It defined the way all of them look.
It defined them and a lot of other supercars.
Like Countach first, I would think, and this is favorite or best?
I think
What does the question say?
it just says rank them. But
It just says rank.
I think it's both. Favorite should be best. So I think it's Countach.
Mercy?
Wow. Mura is there.
I know.
Mura is there.
But Muras catch on fire. That's all they do. They look pretty, they catch fire. They don't catch fire.
Define the segment.
Look, all right, walk us through your day with that Mura. What did you think about the entire day?
I drove around in the Mura and then it caught on fire, burned to the ground. No, I'm kidding. It was totally fine.
But you thought it was going to?
I did.
Yeah.
At every point. At every point throughout the day.
We have watched one together at Amelia Island catch on fire.
That's true.
I happened to see it 2 years in a row. It's just like,
Did it catch
I
on
think
fire
that
both years?
if it, what?
Did it catch on fire both years?
No, different ones. Not kidding.
Look.
And it shares its gearbox oil with the engine.
Rank
It's just bad.
the Mercy ahead of the Mura. You just can't.
No, I think I do agree. I think that I'd have to, but it is, I don't know.
No. Trust your gut.
All right, fine. Countach, Mercy, Mura, Diablo, Revuelto, Aventador.
Ooh, wow. Barely above the Aventador.
I love the Revuelto. Honestly, all those cars are great.
They're all great. I mean, you're talking about like,
Yeah.
they're all like, it's tight up there.
I'm surprised you're putting Diablo that high.
Diablo was third to last. I mean, I like the
but in the
Diablo.
middle.
But above the Revuelto.
My problem with the Diablo has always been that as cool as it is, and I've thought about getting one so many times, and then I look at it and I'm like, the Countach is just cooler.
Well,
like the Diablo drives better. It was more modern, but like the Diablo was the Countach was the Diablo was an iteration on the.
Right. I know it's not, although the Countach is not the first V12 Lamborghini, it's like started,
defining-
it's what Lamborghini is. All designs from Lamborghini go back to the Countach these
And
days.
supercars in general. Like when you think supercar, you think wedge, Countach, insanity, wide, crazy.
And the thing with the Diablo was it's the middle child syndrome. It was the Countach was crazier looking and just more insane in general. The Mercy was much better to drive. And so it's like kind of...
And better engineered.
And better engineered. And although more similar to the Diablo in a lot of ways.
Than people think. I agree with that.
Late
It's
Diablos
more
and
old
early
Lambo
Mercies.
than people realize.
But it was in the middle, and that's why it deserves to be in the middle here, I think. It's just...
I agree.
awesome,
so
though.
that's the list. It's Countach, Mercy, Mura, Diablo, Revuelto,
and
Aventador.
Yeah.
Wow.
Aventadors are cool to be. I like seeing them around, but all tips.
LMO2 would be pretty high on that list if we threw that in. Oh, here's a good one. This is a great last question from Keel. Don't look at the question. Don't look at it. You have to be surprised. Say you were the kingpin of a large organized crime ring and drowning in cash. What car would you drive or be driven in to best suit your crime lord aura? Brilliant question. Also well written.
What versions of German or American cars are we going to pick? You and I once did a Sunday video on this YouTube channel a long time ago. We picked, and they were all
Sinister
American
car.
or German. They were all were.
Marauder.
But like, if you're a drug kingpin, you don't need to look more menacing.
No, you want to look menacing.
You want to?
No, I want to be the
You want
friendly
people
drug
to
kingpin.
respect you, dude. You want respect. Why do you think the president drives around in a black Cadillac? Because when
have
he shows
respect.
up, people know he means business.
You have respect.
So, all right,
Isn't it an
Filippo,
Escalade?
what-
What is the answer?
I don't know. I'm thinking
Isn't it an Escalade?
No.
Why is it not an Escalade?
an Escalade IQ maybe, because then you'd be silent.
Okay. No, what would you drive or be driven in? You're a drug lord. You're a kingpin of a crime organization. What are you driving? You're driving an Escalade. You're driving a black Escalade.
You just want the Sopranos. That's
But
all you're
that-
getting at.
The cars were good in that show. Give me something better than Feed me.
Lincoln Continental Coach Door.
Oh, if you're an old drug lord, you're a Midwestern drug lord, aging, doesn't have the control he once did over the family, Continental Coach Door.
I like how small we're all thinking when like. But what about the Bentley Dominator?
A
that's
90s,
just
a 90s SUV from, are you implying something about the Brunei royal family?
No.
Are you trying to say that there's something?
You're
or-
drowning in
Make
money.
a political
You can buy it from
statement,
them.
Filippo.
You can buy it from them.
I think it's
I mean,
Big
mine
Body
is
Benz.
mine. Yeah, any of the 80s big bike, but I also think the Pullman, the 600 grosser, is like
you're not driving
dictated.
in a classic car.
You're driving
Why not?
around.
Because you're getting shot at by rival gangs, dude.
it had E38 protection.
E38, it's a 25, this is ridiculous. You guys won't take the question seriously. I'm the only one here who's answering the question.
I don't think that Escalade is I accept your premise that it should be a large full-size
Black.
SUV,
Big
I'd
old.
go to a Range Rover before I went to an Escalade.
What was the car that Richard Hammond drove in Top Gear? It was in South Africa.
Oh yeah, that would run
The-
over stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
that would be.
that
cool.
would be a-
You know what? You know what? Also, SL65 black.
Oh, you can't turn. Was that the problem with them?
No, that car it did have a steering wheel, so you could change direction. Yeah.
The thing with it was it makes
can
so much
slide it.
torque that it has trouble putting the power down.
Dude, that SL65 black looks like a mean car. You show up in an SL65 black, you're showing up to kill somebody. I'm not trying to beat. It's just what you're doing. Oh, wow, you're pulling one up. Oh, wow.
The rear is where it looks the most sinister.
Yep,
I
but
feel,
only black.
but only in black.
Oh, click on that one. It has Swiss plates. Although no, Swiss plates like make a car instantly not sinister.
Yeah, it's like
So
Elizabeth.
they're a rich banker, not.
They're a rich banker. It's like, okay, I'm afraid of this person. Oh, they're from Bern. Well, nah, okay. It's just a tall, lanky guy with a lot of money who wants to look cool. The Swiss plates on an SL65 black is like the equivalent of like buying a Harley and like
nice-
being in a Harley group, but like really, you're a pediatrician.
What about a
Dude, does.
S600 from the with the spindly wheels?
Yeah,
It's a $10,000 car now, by the way.
yeah. And that in itself has some like I'm a ghetto.
But
Also,
this
if
car
somebody-
also, when you start it, it goes.
Yep,
It's
that's
like
exactly what it does.
that sound
Yep.
that it starts. Like you just know it's like
You just
don't mess with
yelled
that
at
guy.
somebody. You told somebody to get in line, and then you got in the car, started up, and you drove out of there.
hit that button.
But hit the button.
on the start on the shifter.
Boom.
Yeah, that's a serious.
One of these cars, I don't know, but probably an S5.
599.
No,
No.
although kind of. There was a guy in Atlanta who was like kind of a drug lord, and he had a 599 and a 612.
Cullinan.
Oh yeah, a
Yeah,
little
Black Dot
flashy.
Cullinan.
Okay, this is the end of our podcast. Unless Filippo has any final. Do you have any license plates for us, Filippo?
There were a couple. Can I say these are not my favorite license plates, but they're two fun facts.
Okay.
One is for people that don't know, a current California license plate is designed by Pierce Brosnan, and I feel like people need to know that. It's a spay and neuter your pets one.
Fine. Pull up the California Pets plate. That's the only one you get.
No, I get one more,
Pierce Brosnan did design this.
and it is.
Just like Mamma Mia, not his finest work.
It is. There's a dog, there's a cat, there's a bone.
I actually love Pierce Brosnan.
I do too.
You know, his son follows me on Instagram and has an E30 M3, a really nice E30
Wow.
M3. Paris is his name.
Wow.
And then for just the humor of it, North Carolina has a I'd rather be shagging license plate.
It does.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Which is
state
just-
dance.
Say dance. Shagging.
Type in shagging, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. You don't see him often. There it is.
I lived in North Carolina for 3 years and saw one once.
Okay.
Special day.
Kennan, do you have any? Remember the Gatsby days one? Weren't you surprised that there was a ship on fire?
I was.
You didn't think that was coming, did
Yep.
you? They could have commemorated that event in a lot of ways, but they chose like
ship on fire.
the most hardcore moment of the Gatsby event.
Yep.
Okay, Kennan, do you have anything for us?
Yeah, drive faster, get there sooner.
E39 M5 didn't come up today on the pod, but I'll tell you right now,
I didn't
titanium
say it.
silver,
I did not say it.
titanium silver.
Oh, I did say it once. I said
gray
it once.
shadow line wheels.
I said it only once because it was the car that I drove for the FOC thing.
Thank you so
Damn.
much, ladies and gentlemen, for participating.
tried.
Our finest podcast ever made.
Certainly the best one this week.
Goodbye.